Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ambassador Carey. Ambassador Carey, I'd like to tell people that she introduced me to diplomacy. Because of course I came to the diplomatic corps as the foreign minister with just no experience as a politician and no experience in diplomacy. And I just used my language, which is straight, direct talk. And she says to me often, you know, you got to temper that with a little bit of diplomacy. And so I thank her for her kind introductory remarks, and I thank the mission and the staff here for the warm welcome shown to my wife and I in this fair city of New York. Thanks for all the hospitality. Ambassador Carey, staff members, Bahamas office, fellow Bahamians and friends, good evening. Good evening. It is always an honor for me to be among so many of my fellow Bahamians and friends in the Bahamas, and today is no exception. However, permit me firstly to offer thoughts and prayers for those and the prayers of my wife, Deidre, to those in the USA and the Caribbean and at home who have experienced loss and devastation due to the recent unprecedented extreme weather events of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. We've sent notes to the respective countries expressing solidarity and deepest regrets to those affected by these recent extreme weather events. With parts of the Bahamas still recovering from Hurricanes Joaquin and Matthew, we are fortunate, by the grace of God, to be spared most of the wrath of Hurricane Irma. However, our brothers and sisters in the southern Bahamas were not similarly spared. There has been catastrophic damage on Ragged Island, which is now virtually uninhabitable. As said by the Honorable Prime Minister in his recent address in the House of Assembly, and I quote, "This is the first time in the modern history of the Bahamas that an entire island has witnessed the wholesale destruction of its infrastructure, both public and private," end quote. Because Hurricane Irma did not make a direct hit on Michael, which you know to be the southern islands of the Bahamas, Mayagona, Inagua, Acklands, Long Key, the damage was not as severe. And I have to say this here because my Minister of Tourism called me yesterday or reached out to me yesterday and chided me, reminding me that the Bahamas is an archipelago. And there are still islands in the Bahamas like New Providence and Abaco and Eleuthera and Exuma and other places that are open for touristic business.
That's our message.
And so I have to say that he said to me that his staff was chiding him about that. And so I have to say that. However, Salina Point, Acklands has experienced significant damage, where much of the road to Salina Point has been uprooted, and there is other damage in Acklands. The dock at Landfill Point, Crooked Island sustained major damage, and there is minor damage to other structures. There is damage to homes and businesses in Inagua, Bimini, and Grand Bahama. And that damage to the northern islands of Bimini and Grand Bahama is due to tornadic activity, which followed the hurricane on its way to Florida, we believe. Friends, there will be a long road to recovery and renewal, but by God's grace, we believe we will do so. My meeting with you today, however, cannot be taking place at a more propitious time. While I have traveled to New York primarily to deliver the Bahamas' national statement to the 72nd regular session of the United Nations General Assembly, I rate the opportunity to speak to the Bahamian diaspora as equally important. In our manifesto on the campaign trail, we emphasize initiatives to engage the diaspora relative to national development. As the Prime Minister recently declared, and I quote, "We are dedicated to also stabilizing public finances, reforming government, and addressing official corruption," end quote. Our program of reform and transformation includes new thinking about the role of government as we create new and innovative partnerships for national development. We see this as the utilization of the gifts and resourcefulness of the Bahamian diaspora. That process of engagement is well underway as we examine and modify the mechanism by which we register and communicate with Bahamians living abroad. We recognize how much you have to offer, and we recognize how much you are needed. Though the Bahamas is a small country, when we work together, we can achieve big things. To this end, my ministry has already begun the process to re-engage Bahamians living abroad. We not only share in the history of the Bahamas, but we also share in its future. As a part of this re-engagement process, we are updating and expanding our databases kept by missions for the express purpose of drawing on this group as a source of potential investors and consultants. The process of re-engagement is multifaceted, and it must be mutual. It calls for creativity in our approach to incorporating the vast and varying talents that exist within the Bahamian diaspora. We are not unaware of the challenges many have faced in trying to invest in the Bahamas. The Prime Minister has committed this government to cutting the red tape and the long waits many have experienced when seeking to invest in the Bahamas. This is a new time. This is a new time for you to re-engage. The collaboration between Bahamians abroad and at home, I am confident, will produce the innovation and creativity needed to help the Bahamas thrive in today's hyper-competitive environment. In reconnecting people, we must also ensure they are reconnected to the resources and opportunities available in the Bahamas. The Prime Minister gave the example a couple of weeks ago while in Atlanta that if there is not a Bahamian consultant available at home, the government will first consider Bahamians overseas before hiring a foreign consultant. Assisting in this effort will be an overseas council which will be tasked with promoting opportunities for Bahamians wishing to return home. I know there are those in the Bahamian diaspora who have permanently made a home outside of the Bahamas. That is understandable. We must each follow our own path and realize the purpose He has set for us. However, this is not the case for all. Some of you have contemplated returning to the Bahamas, but have been dissuaded by various factors. I want to implore you to reconsider, particularly you young Bahamians who've gone into the world and have gained qualifications, expertise, and experience that undoubtedly can benefit the Bahamas. And I bring up my scriptural roots here as a preacher. Do not be deceived. There is a place for you in the Bahamas, and there are opportunities for you at home. Never forget that this is your country, and you have the right to be a part of its development. You have the right to build the country you want to see. Now is the time for you to do just that. This is the time for you to return to the Bahamas, if you wish. It is no secret that the current state of the Bahamian economy leaves much to be desired. While we must continue to give God thanks for where He's brought us, we must also recognize the gifts with which He has endowed us as a people, and bring them to bear to combat the difficulties we face, from corruption, and crime, and bureaucratic inertia, and unemployment. These are the roadblocks we must overcome to gain the growth that we all desire. We must revitalize our economy, and that can only happen with an injection of fresh ideas and bold and innovative solutions to these challenges. Economic revitalization would have cascading results, positively impacting the quality of life for our citizens, and making the business and tourist experience of our visitors more beneficial and more enjoyable. The Bahamian diaspora must be part of our revitalization. We must take the challenges and use them as the fertile soil from which prosperity, success, and tranquility can prosper and blossom. We are admonished that for everything there is a season. I suggest that this is the season for revitalization. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for the Bahamas to enter its greatest season yet. All of her sons and daughters and friends have a role in her progress. Not age, not color, not religion or economic status, not even distance must deter us from coming together in this effort. We have said that we want you to play your part. Now you must hold us to our word. As we go about this, let us support one another, hold each other accountable, and at the end, let us celebrate together. I thank you all for joining us here this evening, and I pray that God continues to bless you and your families, and may God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you very much.